So where do I even start with this? My life took a turn that I never thought possible. I'm just an average guy, always keeping my head down, working hard, and doing my best to build a decent life. I've been married to my wife, Sarah, for almost 10 years. We met in college and hit it off pretty quickly. She's beautiful, smart, and everything I thought I wanted in a partner. My brother, Josh, has always been my best friend. We're close in age and have been through a lot together. It was one of those sibling relationships where we'd always have each other's back, no matter what. Also, I thought. It all started a little over a year ago when I hit the jackpot. Literally. I'd been buying lottery tickets off and on for years, mostly as a joke. I never thought I'd actually win. But one random Saturday morning, I checked my numbers and realized I was holding the winning ticket. I didn't believe it at first. I mean, who does? I checked the numbers at least 10 times before the reality sank in. We won $12 million. Life-changing money. I was over the moon. My mind raced with possibilities. Paying off the mortgage, setting up a trust fund for our future kids, helping out my family, everything seemed so perfect. Sarah was ecstatic when I told her. I remember her screaming and jumping into my arms. It was one of those movie-like moments. We were both crying, laughing, and dreaming about what our future would look like with this newfound wealth. Josh was the first person I told outside of Sarah. He was genuinely happy for me, or so it seemed. The months after winning the lottery were surreal. Sarah and I started making plans for a huge vacation. We were looking at new houses, and for the first time in my life, I felt like everything was going right. But there was one thing that kept nagging at me. I couldn't put my finger on it, but something felt off. Sarah started acting differently. She was distant at times, always on her phone or running errands that took way longer than they should. At first, I chalked it up to stress. I mean, winning the lottery is a huge deal, and maybe she was just overwhelmed by it all. But the more time went on, the more I couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. It wasn't just Sarah, though. Josh had been acting strange too. We used to hang out a lot, go for drinks, watch football, or just catch up. But after the win, he started avoiding me, always making excuses for why he couldn't hang out. I assumed he was just busy with work. One day, I decided to confront Sarah about her behavior. It was eating me up inside. I asked her if everything was okay, if there was something bothering her. She brushed it off, saying she was just stressed about all the changes in our lives. It's just a lot to handle, she said. We've gone from scraping by to having millions in the bank. It's overwhelming, I believed her. I wanted to believe her. But things only got worse. I noticed she'd get texts late at night, and when I'd ask who it was, she'd say it was just a friend or work. She never let me see her phone, which was odd because we used to be completely open with each other about everything. I tried to convince myself I was being paranoid. After all, we were married for 10 years, we'd been through thick and thin, but the nagging feeling wouldn't go away. Then came the day that changed everything. I was at home working on some paperwork, and I accidentally received an email meant for Sarah. It was from a hotel confirming a reservation at a hotel that was out of town. My heart sank. Sarah hadn't mentioned anything about a trip. I checked the date of the reservation. It was for the weekend she had told me she was visiting her parents. I felt sick to my stomach. I didn't confront her right away. Instead, I decided to dig a little deeper. Over the next few weeks, I paid more attention to her behavior, started tracking her movements without her knowing, and eventually found out she was seeing someone behind my back. But who? That part one didn't know yet. One night, Sarah said she was going out with friends for a girls' night. I pretended like everything was normal. But as soon as she left, I followed her. My heart was racing the entire time, but I needed to know the truth. I followed her to a small, secluded restaurant on the outskirts of town, and that's when I saw him. Gosh. My own brother. Sitting across from my wife, laughing, smiling, holding her hand. It felt like the world collapsed around me in that moment. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't think. My brother and my wife were having an affair. I didn't confront them right then. I don't know why. Maybe I was in shock. Maybe I didn't want to cause a scene. I just sat in my car watching them, feeling like my entire life had been a lie. The next few days were a blur. I didn't know what to do, who to turn to. How do you confront your wife and brother about something like this? I kept playing different scenarios in my head, but nothing seemed right. Finally, I decided to confront Sarah first. I waited until she got home that evening and calmly asked her if there was something she needed to tell me. She looked confused, but I could see the panic in her eyes. I pressed harder, telling her that I knew she wasn't where she said she was that night. That's when she broke down and confessed. She admitted that she'd been seeing Josh for almost a year long before we won the lottery. The betrayal cut deeper than anything I'd ever felt. I asked her why. Why, Josh? Why betray me like this? She couldn't give me a straight answer, just kept saying that she didn't mean for it to happen. She said they didn't plan on hurting me, but I couldn't believe a word of it. How do you accidentally start an affair with your husband's brother? After talking to Sarah, I confronted Josh. He tried to act like it wasn't a big deal, like it was some mistake that got out of hand. I wanted to punch him right in the face, but I restrained myself. I told him he was dead to me, that I never wanted to see him again. It's been a few months since I found out about the affair, and my life has completely unraveled. I'm going through a divorce with Sarah, and I've cut all ties with Josh. The money, it doesn't even matter anymore. It feels like a curse. Winning the lottery didn't bring me happiness, it destroyed everything I thought I knew about my life. Looking back, I can see all the little signs I missed, all the red flags that were there. But when you trust someone so completely, you don't want to see them. You make excuses. You tell yourself everything's fine. I don't know if I'll ever be able to trust anyone again. If I've learned anything from this, it's that money doesn't fix problems, it amplifies them. And betrayal from the people closest to you, that's a pain that no amount of money can heal.